Good morning, all you addicts, free thinkers, or past free thinkers. We are here to get energized and motivated using ourself from the inside out, not looking for validation from the outside in. Here this morning on Thursday, December 15th, 2022. My name is Herbie, and this is Pal Go On. We've all had crazy lives. We've all been through it. We've all have been addicts at some point. We all have been consumers at some point, obsessed with self-pleasuring and obsessed with escaping the numbing pain of the world. Today, if you are returning, you know that we are feeling so good from the inside out, better than your morning would feel without. If you are new here, welcome here to the Best Feeling Podcast in the Best Feeling Network, your only no-nonsense podcast. This is Pal Go On. We have a recommended book reading list down at the bottom to catch you up on anything that we are talking about today. We welcome all you folks who have been dependent on pills for depression, dependent on substances, dependent on sleep abuse, dependent on sex addictions, dependent on alcohol. We welcome all of you addicts, as we all have been once in our lives, or anyone new here. And we are getting motivated and fellowshipping our way through life and finding ways to be energized from the inside out, from our design, the way that our body was meant to. Did you know that your body is able to align itself like self-chiropraction by using proper breathing? We'll be using some body magic tricks today on this Thursday, December 15th, 2022. We shall be using some body magic tricks to feel so good from the inside out and stretch our self-awareness like a muscle. But also, it is a Thursday, which means it is a Truth Hurts Day. Truth Hurts Day. And as we will be discussing today is a quote from Aristotle. You know, these old philosophers from way long time ago, from when philosophy used to be more an applied science and people used to fellowship throughout life so that they can make their life easier. We stand on the shoulders of giants and pass wisdom on from generation to generation to generation, like the last airbender or something, like Aang from the last airbender, just avatars just passing down knowledge from generation to generation. And from way back, we have Aristotle. You all know our man Aristotle, one of the founding fathers of what we consider modern philosophy. And what he says is, quality is an act, or quality is not an act, it is a habit. Quality is an act. Shoot, why do I keep saying that? Look at the screen. Quality is not an act. No, it is a habit. We'll be discussing today on the Truth Hurts Day how quality is a habit, not an act. Quality is a habit and not an act. Kind of a hard truth to swallow, like all truths that we talk about on the Truth Hurts Day. We might be I kind of found it kind of a cool theme to like bring up these quotes from these previous philosophers, because a lot of them are kind of like haikus in the sense that like long years spent living cashed in to kind of create small short snippets of wisdom that take years in order to understand, or years in order to be able to put so concisely. And so we'll be referring to some quotes. Hey, leave a like, share, subscribe, but also a comment to let us know what kind of quotes you might want to hear on future Truth Hurts Days. The ones from the old philosophers tend to be truths that hurt. A lot of philosophy, like short and sweet statements, tend to be truths that are like, they're kind of like difficult to swallow, but I mean, full of so much wisdom, like full of so much guidance towards how to live life. So again, today we're discussing how quality is an act. As Aristotle would say, quality is not an act, it is a habit. Did I say quality is an act? We're going to be talking today about how quality is a habit Because as Aristotle would say, quality is not an act, it is a habit. Quality is not an act, it is a habit. I have to say that a few more times to make up for all the time. How many times did I mess that up already? And it's only been like 5 minutes in this show. We're going to be getting to that in just a moment. But first, as usual, we shall be spending 5 minutes or so stretching our self-awareness. As we are here in the mornings, we are here to be alongside you as we are remembering to stay present in that moment wherever you are. Wherever you are, whenever thou art, whether you are in a car driving somewhere, whether you are sipping some coffee in the morning, whether you're eating dinner because you're watching us at nighttime. Remember that even though we are enveloped into this podcast or allowing this podcast to be your friend and be your buddy to hang out with in the morning or wherever you are also staying present in that moment. Although you are here chilling with me in this podcast whenever this was recorded, you are indeed listening to that podcast right there where you are. Your body can only be here right now in the present. Your body does not exist in the past. Your body does not exist in the future, although your mind might want to wander. Your body exists right here, right now, the most godly thing there is, the present, the only time there is. The only time there is, your body is a reminder of that your body is right here in the present. So we want to stretch our self-awareness like a muscle, allow the sounds of this podcast to go in one ear and out the other, and blend into the symphony of sounds around you, allowing your body and mind to pick up and hold on to anything that actually resonates or makes sense with you. You are in that body of yours, that beautiful, magical, godlike experience that you are only in the present right there. And so what you're experiencing right now is the most glorious amounts of truth, and how much you can absorb of that truth wherever you are, whenever thou art. Well, there's like an infinite amount of degrees of levels of consciousness that you're experiencing in life right now. Spiritual. How are you feeling in your spirit right now? Do you feel motivated? Or do you feel kind of down? Do you feel like it's kind of hard to get the energy to do what you got to do today? Are you going to work out? Do you need to drive to work? Do you need to write something down? Do you need to call up a friend? Do you need to go apologize to someone? Do you need to go make amends? Do you need to work harder? Do you find yourself asking yourself why you aren't working harder? And then on the emotional level, how are you right now in that body right now? What's your emotions feeling right now in that body? Are you feeling sad? Are you feeling happy? At peace? Are you feeling confused? Do you feel like you're procrastinating on something? And then on a physical level, what is around you right now? What are your ears hearing? If your ears are scoping out from near to far, and we pick out 7 different things to listen to in order to stretch our self-hearing, to stretch our self-awareness using our hearing awareness in order to activate those muscles that exist in between your ears. As we know, the ears are often associated with balance. It's because the skull actually meets the spine right smack dab in the middle between your ears. So when we activate the muscles between the ears, we activate the muscles that pull the skull down on the spine to make good connection, make it feel so good and balanced. What are we listening to that might be outside the room right now? Let's stretch our self-awareness way out, something even beyond the room where we're at. Or if you're in public, something very far away. 100 feet away, 150 feet away. Are those birds chirping? Are those cars zooming around you? There's no car crashes, I hope. Is that the sound of children, laughter? And then if we move the hearing awareness a little bit medium close to us, are those your brakes sounding? You hear the rumbling of the car engine? Do you hear the turning of wheels around you, whether you're at a park or maybe just at the beach? And then if we move our hearing awareness even closer, do you hear the soft ruffles of the cotton of the shirt on your skin? Or your arm against the table? And then even closer, if you put your hearing awareness towards even your own beating heart. Is your heart excited? How does it feel to borrow some of that hearing awareness and direct it towards the self, the body itself? Something is so close that it's the body. And then one last thing. If we stretch our hearing awareness all the way out again, do you hear those birds? Is that a splash in the pond? Did someone flush a toilet? Do you hear like music far away and bumping in the back? Stretch our hearing awareness to this podcast. Do you hear a rasp in my throat? Do you hear silence? Thank you for joining me as I invited you to stretch our hearing awareness so that we can stretch our self-awareness muscles. Well, stretch our self-awareness like a muscle this morning. Thank you for joining me on that. I hope you're feeling so fantastic today. Give yourself a pat on the back. Give yourself a round of applause. Or some snaps if it's in the morning. I hope you have felt wonderful as we stretch our self-awareness like a muscle. It's always good to be stretching our hearing awareness like a muscle, as that is one of the best. Those are the best muscles to activate, to engage when we are first beginning to learn to feel so good from the inside out, as we found out as we're fellowshipping things that we've been realizing over the last few years together, as we are learning along together, as I'm learning along with you. Today we are talking about how quality is a habit, not an act. We're going to be talking about how quality is a habit, not an act. As Aristotle would say, quality is not an act, it is a habit. Quality is not an act, it is a habit. Especially in these last couple years, especially in this era that we live in right now, the entire world seems to be asking the question of how do we improve the quality of our life? We have people don't even need to say it out loud. It is being demonstrated in the way the world is going right now, with the highest suicide rate ever recorded in history right now in America, the highest depression rate recorded in history in America, the highest rate of divorce in America, in the West, probably in the world, the highest rate of drug addiction, the highest rate of all things bad, basically. We're all searching for the answer, and we are asking the questions through the way we are living our lives in the world right now, or not losing their lives, unfortunately, or not living their lives, unfortunately. We are reflecting the fact that we have this question of how do we improve the quality of our lives. We are asking that question through our actions in the world right now. We'll be talking about how quality, even in our lives, in everything, Aristotle don't stop in one thing. He talks about everything. He's a philosopher. How the quality of our life improves through, or it is the quality it is through habit and not through acts. We'll talk more about what we've learned from this and what we can learn from this right after this short break. Thank you, Aristotle. This episode is brought to you by Aristotle. Are you feeling the front of your shins? Are you remembering to spread some of that hearing awareness to the front of your shins? I hope so. My name is Herbie. This is Palguan. We'll be right back after this short break. Good morning and welcome back to the Best Feeling Podcast and the Best Feeling Network, your only no-nonsense podcast with your host Herbie. This is Palgo on. Thank you for joining us. If you've been liking what you've been hearing so far, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Let us know how you feel, and subscribe and hit the bell so that you can become aware as we're stretching our self-awareness like a muscle. Become aware of all the new episodes coming out. We are having this show premiere every weekday morning here at 9 a.m. Thank you for joining us as we were stretching our self-awareness. Using some good old body magic tricks, stretching our self-awareness like a muscle to align our bodies relationship to itself even more, to feel so good. We are moving from the physical portion of this show on to the mental portion of this show, as we are going to be discussing how quality is not an act, but indeed it is a habit. Again, quality is not an act, it is a habit. Quality is a habit. To change your life, you have to change what you believe. Performing single task after single task with the aim of improving your quality of life always falls short, since these tasks become exceptions to who you are and how you behave, not the rule. With the thousands of micro to macro choices you make throughout the day, the ones we are consciously aware of number so few that the majority of remaining decisions end up going the way of your actual deep down beliefs. Yes, of course, if we believe we are worth nothing, we will act as such most of the time. And then when you are consciously aware of yourself again, in between those batches of thousands of micro decisions you make throughout your day, you will do one thing to improve the quality of your life. You'll do one act to improve the quality of your life. But no matter how fruitful this one act is, it stands no chance against the overwhelming amount of conscious and unconscious decision making that's out of your control, which happen all throughout the day. Your beliefs aren't your decisions themselves. You don't even choose what to believe. Like, you can act like the movie Avatar was a great movie. You can sing its praises to others for some reason, like clout, or to pop up James Cameron, or to sound like a movie aficionado. Is that a word? To act like a movie buff, or to sound like you are high and mighty about movies. But in the end, no matter what you choose to do, whether it's to prop James Cameron up, to sound like a movie aficionado, or for just clout, in the end, you will behave as you actually believe, which is that the Avatar movie, the movie called The Avatar, is a mediocre movie. How do you know that you believe it's a mediocre movie? Well, you don't get excited about the story. You don't remember the names of the characters. You don't obsess over its storytelling. You don't bring it up in conversation. You don't constantly apply its movement of you to other aspects in life. Sure. Fact of the matter is it isn't a recurring theme in your life other than to clown on it. It isn't a recurring theme in your life like you make other movies recurring themes in your life. Avatar is unlike other movies that you mentally call upon time and time again throughout life, which only happens because you believe those movies are great. You don't choose what to believe. You either are presented the proper evidence or not. You don't choose what to believe. You are either presented with the proper evidence or you are not. It even goes so far as to say that you can't help but believe what you believe. The evidence that is in your awareness causes you to just believe what you believe. You can't help but believe what you believe because in your awareness, your belief, you believe in that because the truth about that belief has just been constantly reasserted itself into your life and you find it to be true every time. You don't choose what to believe. You are either presented with the proper evidence or not, and you just believe it because everything lines up. It's like 2 + 2 is 4. It's like you can't help but believe that because it's just there. You can't help to believe it. The proper evidence is just there. And until evidence is presented otherwise, you're going to behave as you believe. You do not choose what to believe. You're either presented the proper evidence or not. For starters, you can either recognize that the quality in human growth lies in learning from one's mistakes or not. You either recognize that every human being is borderline magical in its capacity to create meaning from almost completely unrelated topics in the mind or not. It's freaking wild when you think about it, like crazy. You either recognize that every human is the same in this regard or not. You either are presented with the proper evidence to believe something or not. You don't choose what to believe. Whatever evidence is given to you simply lines up with everything that's already in your awareness previously. So if you don't believe something yet, it could be that what is in your awareness right now is just not the right amount of evidence, or it's not the correct evidence, or it doesn't jive with your current value system, and so you don't end up believing it. We'll be right back after this short break to reflect on how you don't choose what to believe, honestly. And quality of your life is a habit, which is born from your beliefs, not an act. We'll be right back after this short break. Hope you're feeling the front of your shins. Hope you're feeling fantastic in that body of yours. Go, get up, stretch, walk around, grab a glass of water, feel the front of your shins, leave the swallowing muscles alone, observe your sense of self as you do all of that, and we'll be right back after this short break. My name is Herbie, this is Pagwan. Tried all the vitamins and gummies that claim they're going to be boosting your mental capabilities, your physical performance, your behaviors in life? Tried them and then felt motivated yet slightly confused and cautious? I mean, are the effects even real, or are they a placebo? Are you achieving what you think you are achieving, or is it imagination? Do you have all this energy now, or is that imagination too? Be done with placebos. Be done with uncertainty. Isn't it so draining to be uncertain? You can't even begin to gain confidence in what you're doing. How about some actionable, specific advice instead? Take this gummy, feel the front of your shins. Bam! That one's free. Take Pagwan with you wherever you go, whenever you go, and feel so good from the inside out. Take Pagwan with you wherever you go, whenever you go, and feel so good from the inside out. Welcome back. I hope you had a fantastic break. Hope you spent time to go pee, or hope you spent time to go walk around, stretch your legs, or whatever you are. Maybe you're just working. Thank you for allowing me to join during your workday. I hope they've been feeling well. Hope you've enjoyed the physical portion of the show right in the beginning. Hope you've enjoyed that introduction to the mental part right after. We're gonna be discussing a little further about how, like, quality is a habit, not an act. That includes your life. Quality of your life is a habit, not an act. And what are habits born out of? Beliefs, of course, right? beliefs, as like these beliefs themselves are like these undergirders that kind of um what's the word I'm looking, dictate these beliefs that you have all the way down below, kind of dictate what your actions are, even what you think about, what you choose to think about, what's in your awareness. Your beliefs dictate what all of those are. Hope you're spending time to listen to the front of your shins through this podcast, or listen to this podcast through the front of your shins as we talk about, I mean, like, beliefs, man. Like, it's like this lowest common denominator thing where you don't choose what to believe, but you go down, 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 down into your logic and reasoning. And at the very bottom, you find your beliefs. Everything else is born out of it, like it's the roots. You have this thing at the bottom, which are your belief systems, which you don't really get to choose, but rather you are presented evidence, which, I mean, there's evidence in favor and then there's counter evidence, but all the evidence leads to this final idea of how you feel about the world, how you feel about yourself, how you feel about others, what you believe to be true. You can try to imitate another belief by trying to say that you believe in such and such, or that you think that the Avatar is a great movie, or that or that Friday by Rebecca Black is like, you can try to say that it is a godsend movie, but at the end of or a godsend song, music video. But at the end of the day, do you really believe what you're saying if you do not behave as such? Do you really believe something if you do not behave as such? Indeed, like, thousands of decisions that you make, even whether or not to bring it up in a conversation, whether or not to bring up Friday in maybe a piece of artwork that you are using, whether you use it as inspiration for your life, whether you choose to, or whether your awareness brings that song back up in every music conversation or not. All those thousands of decisions that you make all throughout life that most of the time are like completely unrelated, right? Like you're working, or you're speaking with friends, or you're working on art, or you're daydreaming, or you're watching other movies or watching other music videos. The micro decisions that you make unconsciously to bubble up to the surface, this song again, reveals whether or not you believe it to actually be this great song. Should those not be happening, do you really believe it's a great song? Now, does that mean just because you bring up Rebecca Black's Friday in a conversation, just because you bring it up in a conversation, does that now mean that you really believe that it is a great song? No. Just because you use that as an inspiration for some art, does that mean that you believe it to be a great song? No. I'm not saying it's not bad. I'm not saying it's bad, by the way, Rebecca. It's a catchy song. And in its own way, it has created waves, right? But for whatever your metric is, if we're talking about like composition, or we're talking about catchiness, or we're talking about like how much it moves the human spirit, there's a word called Freol. There's a word like frise or something, which is describing the feeling that you get, like the tingly feeling where you get like goosebumps, or you get like a spinal feeling, or like a visceral butterflies in your stomach when something moves you deeply. I think it's frise. I think we can look that up. Frisse. That might be your metric of whether or not a song is great or not, at least internally. But if we're looking at our outward behaviors and actions, you cannot choose what to believe. You cannot simply choose to believe that Friday, or whatever song you want to place there, you cannot simply choose to believe that it is a great song. Because just because you bring it up in a conversation a couple times, or just because you think about it every now and again, just because it comes up every now and again, reveals to you that in your insides that you do not believe it is a great song. Why is that? Because it is unlike other songs which you have deemed to be great. And how do you know that those are great? Well, you believe them to be great, of course, but it reflects in your actions as they come up all the time in your life. You end up dragging it along with you into conversation, recommendations for other people, inspirations how to live life, inspirations on what movie to watch, inspirations about how you feel about other movies. Indeed, something that we deem as great, especially when it comes to art, you cannot help but bring it up as inspiration into your life. Chicken or the egg? Is it because you keep bringing it up that reflects that you believe it's great? Or is it so great because you can't help but bring it up? But the fact is that it's not one of these in particular, but rather the whole host, the whole holistic involvement of this song in your life. Should you deem it as great, it becomes so meaningful that you can't help but your consciousness cannot help but just have it bubble to the surface, whether it's in movies or whether you think about it in conversation or recommendations, or sometimes it inspires you to have conversations or inspires you to have or to recommend things or inspires you to choose other courses of action. It's like the undercover. When you believe a song is great or a piece of artwork is great or something is great, it becomes like an undercover like agent in your life, budding itself back into your life in positive ways, hopefully, probably, considering you consider it to be great. No wonder you keep allowing it to inspire new things in your life. There's almost like a part of you that says, well, if it touches me so deeply when I listen to it, how many other places in life does it touch me deeply? How many other places in my life does it resonate with? It's like a holistic decision based on what you believe. You believe this ought to be great because it has all of these hosts of multitude in 3D effects on you, all these meanings for you. And it just keeps unwrapping and unwrapping. And you can't help but see and observe that it is great to you. And you believe it to be great because it can't help but unwrap itself in your life over and over and over and over and over in ways that are hard to articulate, but it affects the entire pattern of how you interact with this song because it is great. You don't choose that. It simply reveals itself to you that you believe that based on how it is affecting and intertwined into your life, how it integrates into your life. You don't choose what to believe. You are either presented the proper evidence or not. For starters, again, you either recognize that quality in human growth lies in learning from one's mistake or not. As we are motivating ourselves and motivating one another as we fellowship through this crazy life here on Pagawan. The Truth Hurts days, we're approaching freedom on Freedom Friday. By showing you how amazing you are, by showing some human appreciation for you. I don't even know who you are right now. I don't even know who's listening to this, but I know you are amazing. Why? Because I know that every human being is borderline magical. How? In its capacity to draw meaning from completely unrelated topics in the mind. You're like a magician. You're this automatic creative based on your ability to simply establish meaning from seemingly unrelated things in your life. And how do we know that you've been doing that? Well, of course you've been doing that. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here on this podcast right now. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been able to extrapolate what you want to do tomorrow, what matters to you, what kind of movies you like, what kind of songs you like, what kind of foods you like, what kind of activities you like to do, your identity, all these things in your life that you mentally think about and that you are gravitating towards, all because you, as this amazing godlike experience that you are, by nature, you are a creative. You are creating meanings between seemingly unrelated things and establishing patterns and meanings and values out of those. And last but not least, feeling moved and having emotional responses to seemingly unrelated events in life. You are the only one in that observing chair that you are in right now, your body in which you're observing the world. You are the only one in that position, and you are constantly looking out throughout the day and establishing meaning from your visit to the restaurant, to your stay doing studies at the libraries, to why you are here doing that in the library when you are such and such age, when you could have been doing it earlier or later, why you are talking with this person and not that person. You're constantly establishing meaning on a shallow level to avoid death and danger, but on a much deeper level, you are harvesting the joy of life itself. You are stretching your creativity as you are by nature, and you are using yourself to your maximum capability. You are amazing because, like a hammer is a tool to nail down a nail, you are this amazing magical tool that is used to create and draw meaning from seemingly unrelated topics. And then you create and you create, whether that be you create moments, maybe you create laughter, maybe you create space, maybe you create objects, maybe you create jokes, maybe you create music, maybe you create financial stability, maybe you create safety, maybe you create relationships, maybe you create all of these things because you are this magical, magnetic human being. You are amazing, and quality of your life, remember, is a habit, not an act, and habits develop from what we believe. You are an amazing human, whether you recognize it or not. You either recognize that every human is the same in this regard, that you have enormous potential. You have enormous potential. And maybe you just aren't looking at the evidence yet. You cannot choose what to believe. And these beliefs create the habits that create quality of life. You cannot choose what to believe, whether you currently believe that you have enormous potential or not. You cannot choose what to believe. You were simply presented the proper evidence or not. And I'm telling you, you have enormous potential. Perhaps you just haven't been looking at the evidence yet. Thank you for joining us here on another Truth Hurts Day. It is Thursday, December 15th, 2022. Good morning. We will be moving our show blocks, our showtime blocks, probably to like 6 a.m. in the near future. We will be having more of these stingers to structure out the show. I would love for the show to be very structured and having little sound segments in between so that you know what part of the show we are at. Want it to flow nice and linear like, but also in a very free way. Want it to feel so good the inside out. We will be structuring more. You can check out yesterday's show, Warfare Wednesday. We had a title card. It's kind of fun. We'll have more in those more often. So be sure to like if you like the video, if this is intriguing to you. All you addicts out there who are seeking escape or seeking a way to be fulfilled without all of our addictions. But I mean, you know, I don't even blame you. We were definitely raised in this generation of addicts and raised in this generation of like pleasure-seeking pain avoiders. Please like if you are intrigued by this, whether you are an addict, whether you are just a new viewer who is just curious. Remember to comment. Let us know what kind of segments you'd be interested in. Right now, I really enjoy this philosophy quote, and we might keep doing that for Truth Hurts Days. And don't forget to subscribe so you can be made aware of all the new episodes every weekday morning as they premiere. For now, we'll be sticking to the 9 a.m.s, but please be advised that we will be doing the 6 a.m. We will be moving to 6 a.m. blocks, which shouldn't be too different. If anything, the East Coast will just be able to access it more early in the morning, which is what we want. And yeah, again, everyone welcome, but definitely this show is like aimed at like addicts or previous addicts. And addicts, it's not just substance abuse, right? It's like alcohol too. It's like porn. It's like addicts to people. Sometimes we get addicted to people and we feel lost when that doesn't go our way. Welcome. Let's continue to fellowship together and seek our design as we are feeling so good from the inside out, better than your morning would feel without, as we're using our sense of the world to make sense of the world. Thank you for joining us here again, the Best Feeling Podcast and the Best Feeling Network, your only no-nonsense podcast with your host, Herbie. What's up? This has been Pal Go On. Thank you for joining us. See you next time.